Here we go. Get ready to have a good time. This is exciting, isn't it?
All right, we're on. Hello, testing.
Welcome aboard the Dreamliner.
It's the only way to fly.
Spartans! What is your profession?
Podcaster? Podcaster?
Gary.
Here's a young speaker who is really in demand.
Don't let that go to your head, Gary.
But wait, there's more.
That's what I'm talking about.
He is Garry Meier.
Oh, hang on. I'm solving today's Media 5 puzzle. You know, it's like Wordle, but the answers are all media figures. I always start with Oprah. O-P-R-A-H. Okay, got the R. It's not third. How about Stern? E-R-N. Okay, E-R. Let's try Meier. M-E-I-E-R. Got it! Okay, well, anyway, it's the February 4th, 2022 edition of the Garry Meier Show Cocktail Hour Live.
Cocktails. Woo! Drinks.
We went wheels up at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 Central, 4 Mountain, 3 Pacific, and so on. Of course, no matter where you are, it's time for a digital mimosa. For those new to the show, Garry podcasts 5 days a week. All shows are available on GarryMeyer.com, where you can sign up for the longer Tuesday and Thursday premium podcasts. On the website, you'll also find Gary's blog, merchandise, and even the Cocktail Hour live shows. Comments are welcome on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch while we're live streaming. You can always text Garry at 773-888-2157. Regular charges apply. The GarrForce Live YouTube channel is the best place to stream all of our live shows and to catch up on those you may have missed. Please take a moment now to click subscribe on YouTube. It's free, and if you click the little bell icon next to the subscribe button, you can be notified when we're live. If you scan that QR code on the screen, it will take you there right now. Also be sure to like and share the show on all of your favorite social media channels. It helps the show, and if you've done that already, thanks! Now, fasten your seatbelt, it's time to go wheels up on the GarrForce Live!
Thank you, Alan. Good to be here because we reward ourselves every week at this time because we deserve it as we are slogging through. If you're in a northern state, this was a slog week of bad weather. And Alan is in Orlando, and he likes to say when this is happening, oh, it was 75 here today. Although they had a little cold snap in Florida this week where iguanas were falling out of the trees because they get cold and their blood doesn't circulate and they just fall out of the trees. But that's only about 24 hours, and they go back up into the 70s. The rest of us have salt stains on our shoes, on our paints, on our cars, on our floor mats. That's what we have to deal with here. And that's why we drink, so we can make sense of it all. There it is. That's my cocktail, my Manhattan, my main Manhattan. And this whiskey snout is the drink where last week we had a guest on who said, I will make you. Jenna made a drink, said this should be the official drink of the GarrForce. And my friend Roberto put it together today, and he said it's really good. I haven't put the ingredients together yet. I'm sticking with the Manhattan, but he said it's going to be a good replacement if you ever want to get off the Manhattan. That is what I will go to. All right. Lots to do here. First, I have to kick the tires and light the fires so we can go wheels up. Let us do that right now. There are the tires that are lit. I guess it's a combo platter. Lit the tires and kicked them all in one pile. There's nothing better than a good tire fire. They last for, 2 or 3 years if you want to stay warm. And we are going to do what we do every Friday, give stuff away. And that would be the wine condom and GarrForce scarf. Leslie is going to release the condom in just a second here. Leslie, is it building up some steam?
It certainly is. I mean, we've got a nice little dome thing happening.
Yeah, look at
right
that.
here.
Poke it. Okay, before you do
I
that.
slipped on on the ice, man. I am so ready for March.
Yes, we've all slipped on the ice. Yes, it's everywhere. It's our own Olympics. You don't have to watch the Olympics. Just go out your front door if you're up in the north of the country and just skate away. Sit spin, double axel.
You are supposed to walk like a penguin. So you put your body above or in front of your feet. Oh,
yeah, but you still fell.
We just pop
you were walking like a penguin and you still fell. It only works for penguins. Before you pop that, Kellyanne's post has to go up because that is another official start of the program. Alan, what is it? Okay, we went out in the snow and it was above my schnauzer. Poor thing was frigid when we came in. I rubbed it to get the circulation flowing again. Thank you, Kellyanne. You don't want your schnauzer to get frozen. So rub it until it warms up. We're streaming. We're fetching on all fours. You want to release it?
I think it's time.
All right, here we go. Ooh, wow. That'll take your eye out.
That was good.
There it is. Hey, let me say hello to some people who have checked in. Simon from North Carolina. David just had knee surgery. We hope you heal soon. Lloyd is in Indiana. Martin is in British Columbia. Amy is in, I believe, St. Louis. Deborah,
you can get
Brian,
the screen door out?
I'm going to do that because I'm just doing what I wrote down and they start scrolling. And then I go to the screen door because they're going by so fast. Anthony, Johnny from Michigan has checked in. Karen and Lawrence, Doug, Marcia, Marianne, Mac, Lynn, Tracy from Racine, and John, Zachary checking in. Stephen from Palos Park, Illinois. And Stephen wanted some mention of, he sent a question to ace weatherman in Chicago, Tom Skilling. Do you know who that is? I think you do, Leslie.
I do.
And I believe he said that Tom printed back-to-back questions from Stephen. That was quite a week for Stephen. Congratulations, Stephen. Yeah. Mary Jo, Mark is in Iowa. And Darren is in Homer Glen, Illinois. All right.
Can we mention the fact, people mock Mr. Meier with his screen door idea for senior living.
Yep.
But you're trying to make it more fun. There's nothing that says you have to, there's no sad in senior. No, there isn't.
Right. My Shark Tank idea is to goose up nursing homes because the baby boomer generation is not going to go into the nursing home like our parents and grandparents did. That's not going to happen. So I'm thinking this has to be changed for us if we have to go into them. As you mentioned, screen doors in all the rooms.
Right.
Marijuana vending
infusion.
machines. Yes.
Right.
Or blow it into if you want it blown into your room, we'll blow it into your room.
Sure.
Animal night, where animals walk down the hallway and you can just sit in your room and look through the screen door and watch the animals. Giant squirt gun night. Got that going. And I know what you're going for here. People mock what they don't understand. And then somebody sent me a video of these old people at look like a nursing home, and they put them on giant inner tubes on wheels, and then they would swing them around. And these people looked like they were pigs in slop.
They were having a good time. Sure, maybe somebody could break a hip, but they could do that going to the bathroom.
Yes,
so
they were hanging on.
Have some fun.
Did you see the smile on their faces? Yeah, because otherwise they're in their room. They're sitting in a lazy boy chair all day waiting for Wheel of Fortune to start. That's not the way to run out your life. These people look happy. I'm going to incorporate that inner tube idea. And they had people just swinging them around. And whee! It is funny when you see these people. We go full circle. We start as these little things having a good time with no teeth, and we end up with no teeth, having
little
a good time,
things and no teeth. Yeah,
going to the bathroom in our pants, and it's full circle. That's it. That's the circle of life. Hey,
you may as well have some fun, though. Yeah.
Yes, and we'll tell you how to queue up for the condom and the scarf in just a minute.
Here they are.
Yeah, there they are. They're going out to a lucky viewer at the end of the show. And I want to say that I've got all my Band-Aids on. I got the pizza Band-Aid that Ryan sent me. I got the Tasmanian Devil. I got Mickey Mouse, and I got your Shakespeare insult Band-Aid. And here's what it says on the Shakespeare insult Band-Aid. You should be women, and yet your beards forbid me to interpret that you are so. Wow. Is that some kind of tranny reference back in the day?
I think it's just calling guys a puss, really.
Okay. Well, that's the Shakespeare was the Don Rickles of his day, and that's one of my Band-Aids. That's the Shakespeare insult Band-Aid that Leslie
Thou
sent me.
art a hockey puck. Yes.
Yeah, thou art two Mexicans sitting in the front row. Okay. Yeah. Stuff. Here's the thing. A lot of stuff that played back then could never get traction today.
No.
Don Rickles would be dead out of the box. There's no way he could get to where he got if he started out today.
God, that would be such a shame. Yeah, I mean, imagine him trying to clean up, or a Richie Pryor, or a George Carlin trying to clean up their act. No way.
No, All in the Family. None of those shows would get out of the gate because the cancel culture is very swift. All right. Every month, I'm going to talk about the featured dog in the caninehero.org calendar because there it is. Jason Johnson is doing God's work as far as I'm concerned. We've had him on the program, and here's what he does. He put together a sanctuary in Tennessee, and the dogs that work for the military and the police, when they retire, I thought that there was a sanctuary that the government set up for them and they live the rest of their life out happily ever after. That's exactly not the right thing that's happening. And that sounded like a convoluted way of saying there is no sanctuary that the government sets up. Jason saw that need and he set one up, and he uses his own money or donations, and he's got a calendar out, as you saw on the screen there, and he features a different dog every month. And in February, it is Rosso is the featured dog. And let me just read what that is on the screen there. MWD Rosso, that's Military Working Dog. That's what MWD stands for. Served as a dual-purpose patrol explosive detection dog for the U.S. Air Force. During his career, Rosso protected our nation's presidents, both 44 and 45, to include being selected for the presidential detail when the president visited Japan. While assigned to Fairchild Air Force Base in Washington, Rosso joined the U.S. Secret Service on 10 separate missions. He deployed to the Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar in support of Operation Inherent Resolve, where he protected the lives of thousands of our service members. Listen to this. Despite his accomplishments, Rosso was deemed unadoptable because of his aggressive behavior. He was facing euthanasia until Project Canine Hero was asked if we could take him in. We are honored to give Rosso a home at our rehabilitation and rehoming center in Tennessee, where he will serve as an ambassador for our organization. There. Okay, if that doesn't move you to buy a calendar, he's got other items. Jason has other items to buy to support what he's doing. It blew my mind when I heard that these dogs could be euthanized after they've done things like sniffing explosives at the airport or drugs. Police use them for those purposes. Remember that building that collapsed in Florida and the dogs are going through the rubble on all that broken rebar and concrete, sniffing for bodies? Who takes care of these dogs?
And in this dog's case, so he is in trouble for doing what he was trained to do, essentially. That's
yes, of course
putting him on death row.
I mean, think about it. His job is to go out and do that stuff, and he might be a little aggressive because he's kind of ramped up to do that stuff. Right. Well, okay, that's what you told him to do. He did it, and they should be living out the rest of their lives as humanely as possible. And Jason has taken these dogs in, and please, if you can contribute to caninehero.org there, buy the calendar, buy the other items that Jason has for sale, and help these dogs. My God. The military can't cut off a few $100,000 of that $1 trillion budget to help these animals?
That's like one missile.
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah, right. Don't buy one missile and help these dogs. All right. There you have it. Okay. As you heard in the opening, my guest is Rick Kaempfer, and Leslie and I both had the honor of working with Rick in our radio days. He was a producer on a show I was on and a producer for a show you were on, and he was a very good producer. But Rick saw the radio industry as the Titanic, and he did see the iceberg ahead and thought, I got to get off before
God,
I
he
really
was
hit.
so much smarter than the rest of us.
Yes.
Really.
Yeah, I wish I was hanging with Rick when he saw the iceberg, because he decided, nah, that's enough of this. And he started a publishing company, and he has put out a number of books, including producer Keith's book. Keith, if you could pop on and show us your book that Rick has published. Hey, Keith.
Come here. This one right here.
Righteous Might. What's the book about?
It's about an aircraft carrier that goes back to the day before Pearl Harbor.
It's a time travel vehicle.
Time travel, alternate history, all that jazz.
Yeah, it's kind of like Quentin Tarantino, who takes some historical moments and gives them a happy ending, if that's possible.
Well, it's happy for the Americans anyway.
Well, yes, and that's the way it should be. That's our happy ending. And in Quentin Tarantino's case, his most recent movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he took the Manson situation, and the Manson people met their demise as opposed to Sharon Tate and all the other people that she was with. That's a happy ending.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, I'm sorry. Spoiler alert. The Manson family gets it. Oh, I didn't give you enough.
Because the flamethrower is worth the ride. Yeah.
There you go. So there you have it. And Keith's book is put out by Rick Kaempfer's organization. And Rick has written a book called Every Cub Ever. Hello, Rick.
How are you?
How you doing?
Good to join you. How are you?
Good. And it's as it is titled, there's a chapter or so for every guy that wore the Cubs uniform.
Yes.
From 1871. My God, the research you must have done. And it wasn't just going to the internet and hitting Google, give me every Cub that ever wore the uniform's name. It wasn't that easy, was it?
No, it really was not. It took me about 10 years to write this book. I started doing a website called Just One Bad Century, and it was before the Cubs won the World Series. I was trying to figure out, what kind of demons they stirred up in the past, and I just started researching it. And then in one year, I decided to feature the Cubs having a birthday on this day. And I realized after the year was up that, well, they all have birthdays. I must have written about every single Cub. But it turns out there were 150 or more that I still had not written about because nobody knows what their birthday is. So that was more research. So, yes, it took me a long time.
Every Cub, every guy that ever wore the uniform is in this book, and you revised it in December. So it's as up to date as it can be right now.
Right. Yeah. And unfortunately, I think 5 of them have died since January 1st. So it looks like I have to do another update at the end of this year.
What is your plan on this? Every couple of years, you have to revise it, right? Because they're always adding and getting rid of players.
Yeah, I actually have decided to do it every year. So after each baseball season, I just go through and update all the ones that played for them. This past year, 44 players that had never been on the Cubs before started their Cubs career, which is an all-time record for one season. So this year, it took me a good month to write the updates.
You hinted at what possible curse you could find, as even people who aren't from Chicago probably know by now. This team suffered for a long time where they could not win a World Series. And there was all kinds of speculation of why that was. And of course, you go to the woo, it's in that atmosphere. And one of the running theories was they kicked this guy out who brought a goat to the park back in the 40s, right? And then he decided, because he got kicked out because he couldn't bring his goat in, what the hell was that? That he was going to put a curse on the team. And that lasted until they won and broke that supposed curse. Now, before you say anything, I think I figured out the curse, because if you look at all of the elements that surrounded the team, the park was pretty much the park for many years. It's not the first park they played in, right?
Right. It's the fourth park they played in.
Fourth park. Okay. So the park had been part of their center for a long time. And the goat thing, okay. I looked at it, okay, the ownership change. The ownership was from the Tribune to the Ricketts family.
Right.
So maybe that loosened some of, maybe the Tribune was the curse. I'm pinpointing it to the radio station that carried the Cubs for almost 90 years, mainly because I worked there and I know how evil they are. And as soon as that radio station got rid of them, they won.
Yeah.
They were the curse.
Yeah. It could be. That was 90 years they were on that station.
Yes.
That
and
could be
boy,
it.
That's good thinking. Right before they're going to pay off, they get rid of them. That's like sitting at a slot machine for 8 hours, walking away. The next person comes and hits it and wins.
Yeah, that's true. They were in the World Series in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s, so they were not terrible until WGN TV started carrying them, and then they were terrible for 25 years. They did not have a winning season for 20 seasons in a row.
Is that a sports record for any team? You would know this. I know there are other teams that have long losing streaks. Do the Cubs own that record?
They do not, believe it or not. I think the Pittsburgh Pirates still have that record. But, not making it to the World Series for 70 some years and not winning it for 108 years, those records are not going to be broken.
Okay, the Pirates have that losing streak, but they have won many more World Series than the Cubs.
Exactly. They have.
Yeah, so that kind of takes some of the sting out of it.
Yes. Some of the weird stuff I discovered, like the ground at which Wrigley Field is built on right now. Before it was Wrigley Field, it was a Lutheran seminary. So they demolished, a house of worship basically, and built Wrigley Field on that. So my theory for a while was maybe that angered God somehow. Turns out that is not the case. They're also the first pitcher that ever won a game at Wrigley Field for the Cubs was thrown out of baseball for cheating, which I thought was kind of an odd thing. In addition to that, the Cap Anson, who was a Cubs Hall of Famer, he instituted the color line, the color barrier. He was the one that said black people can't play baseball anymore. That was a Cub that did that.
Ooh.
So, yeah, right, exactly.
What year was that?
A stain.
What year? And don't say 1975.
No, I think it was 1898. So, I mean, there's a lot of stains. The Teapot Dome scandal that President Harding got in trouble for was done by the Cubs owner, Harry Sinclair. He was one of the owners of the Cubs at the time, and he was responsible for that.
What is that?
Presidential. It was a scandal a bribery scandal for Indian land that that would have gotten Warren G. Harding impeached, but he died before the news came out.
See, I think whatever you believe in, if you build up enough bad juju, karma train pulls in, it's got to pick you up, right?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's stories like that throughout the Cubs history.
And you have found all of these things by how did you, in fact, get into the nitty gritty of discovering all those players from way back when? Are they listed on the internet?
Well, if you go to baseballreference.com, they have every player that ever played. And they don't have it like categorized where you can just get a list of the players. Unfortunately, that would have been very helpful if they did that. But I've been researching the Cubs for so many years. I have like an entire Cubs catalog of books that I've been reading, little tidbits that I've been saving, because I didn't want to put out a book that was, like the stats. Like, who cares if you hit 375? These are actually stories about every player that ever played for the Cubs. So little personal tidbits. Some of them are only, a sentence or two. One of the players, his name, Wash Washington, I think his name was. They don't even know when he was born, when he died, what happened to him. They didn't know if he was right-handed or left-handed. They didn't know what position he played. They only knew that he played one game for the Cubs in like 1895 or something like that. But there,
And
so that
he's in the
that
book.
was, yeah, he's in the book.
Okay, so this is God. It has to be a work of passion, a labor of love, as they say, because there is no other book on any sports team out there like this, right?
No, there isn't. And I thought it'd be fun to market this to other like sports writers and stuff and see if I could get books about other teams done the same way I did this one. And I can't find anyone who will agree to do it because it's so much work.
And you're thinking, and I talked about this in the lead up to Friday's show. If you're not familiar with Chicago, the city is torn apart by North Side, South Side rivalry. And
Right.
the figures of those two rivalries are the baseball teams, the figureheads.
Right.
And it's the White Sox and the Cubs. And after you put the book out, you realized that you were tearing the city apart. So you've decided, you told me you're going to put out a White Sox book to counterbalance this anger.
Yes. It's about 3/4 done. It should be out sometime this season. So we are going to have the Every White Sox Ever book too.
Okay. Thank you for starting the healing, Rick.
We all got to come together.
It's a weird city in that way, and you have lived there your entire life. And I was talking about how the Chicago River divides the city, where on the north side of the river is a different atmosphere than the south side of the river, and it could be a matter of 50 yards. It's not like you go deep into the south side, or it's right there. As soon as you cross the river, something happens.
Yeah, it is weird. They didn't have bridges for a long time, so maybe
I think they should take the bridges out. Either that or fill in the river, because this has got to stop. There's too much anger.
Maybe it's because the river goes the wrong direction. It flows the wrong direction. Maybe that's the problem.
They have reversed the flow of the river to make sure the sewage didn't go into Lake Michigan.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
I'm sure the people of St. Louis are really appreciative.
Yeah. Let St. Louis have it. They're animals. Let them lose their souls. It's an infamia. Tell us some of the other books.
All part of that bad karma. All part of that bad karma you were talking about.
Oh, yeah. You build it up, it's going to back up on you.
Yeah.
Tell me some of the other titles you have in your stable. First of all, you were a radio producer, as I mentioned.
Yeah.
And why did you abandon that lovely occupation?
Do you really need to ask?
Tongue in cheek. I'm kidding. I know exactly why. But becoming a publisher, how does that come about?
Well, I became a writer first. I wrote a couple of books that were published by New York publishers. And I wanted to have a Chicago publisher because the New York publishers, they just don't really care about authors that are not in New York. They don't really provide any help or guidance. And I looked around and there really weren't any Chicago publishers that were appropriate for me. And so I talked to my friend Dave, who's my co-publisher. He was in the paper business and printing business. And I talked to him, asked him, is this a feasible thing to start something like that? And he said it was. I published my first novel, my second novel on my publishing company. And then my friends that are all creative types started calling, like, I've got a book. Do you mind if we publish? Would you publish my book? And we did John Records Landecker as a radio personality in Chicago. I produced his show too. And his book did quite well. And it just started the ball rolling.
And you can make money doing this as far as you going to these people directly without them having to go through all these hoops with Simon & Schuster, Random House, Penguin, all those publishers where they must have a stack of people wanting to get published, and these guys sit in their New York offices and just throw everything away at the end of the day. Don't even open the envelope, right?
Yes, that's what it's like. I mean, there's only 5 publishers in New York. And my first book was with Simon & Schuster, an offshoot of them. And, my second book was a novel. And I went to them because I had a 3-book contract. And they said, well, I just want other nonfiction books. I don't want a novel. So I had to get another publisher. And they don't, once you're pigeonholed into a certain thing, they don't want you to expand beyond that because you've got to build a brand.
Right. Who do you think you are, Dan Brown?
Right, exactly.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
I know, and I give anybody who could write a book credit because that is some kind of thing to take on.
I've written 8 of them now. This is my 8th book.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Rick, you saw the radio business from within when you were working with me and Leslie and thought, Jesus, I don't want to spend the rest of my life with these goons.
You know, I had great fun in radio when I worked with you, and I had great fun when I worked with Leslie. But I saw the writing on the wall of what it was going to be like. It got a little too corporate for me, and I only went into radio because it was fun.
Yeah.
And when it wasn't fun anymore, it made it pretty easy to leave.
Yeah, they really sucked the life out of it. When it was fun, it was unbelievably fun.
It was.
And the listener picked up on that. The listener got the vicarious feeling that, God, these people are having a good time. I'm having a good time. And I feel like I'm part of their club. And then suddenly the people that ran these radio stations, hey, how can we suck the fun out of this? Let's start doing that. And they did. And whew.
I still run into people now, and it's been 30 years since you and I worked together, who remember me from being on that show from 30 years ago, because that show was such an important part of their lives.
Well, I'm glad to see that you've gotten into something here that you really enjoy, and I wish you more success than you've already have. And that would include publishing books like this. I'm going to have this author on. This is one of your products.
Yes,
Jim Bauman has written this book called Grammar Moses. Tell us a little about this, and I'll have him on in a few weeks.
So he writes a column for the Daily Herald, which is a newspaper here in Chicago. And actually, he's the editor-in-chief of that newspaper and is a really smart guy, and started writing a newsletter to the writers on staff with grammar tips. And he's a funny guy, and you'll find that out when you talk to him. And he is just a stickler for grammar. He's like the kind of person, if you were at a cocktail party, he would clear out the bar area because he critiques, like semicolons and commas. You can't, anybody who uses bad grammar, he'll nail you. And that's what this book is about. It's done in a very persnickety yet humorous way.
Like I heard on the radio this week, a newsman say more colder. I think Jim would attack. He hears
would.
that. Yeah. More colder. What the hell is that? And
we had a long talk with him when we took him out to lunch, and he was telling everything was about like rock and roll songs. I can't get no satisfaction. It's still every time it comes on, it drives him crazy.
Okay, well, he's obviously very into it. I'm sure into it. He drives a lot of people nuts. I can't get that's a double negative. What the hell is Jagger doing?
Exactly.
Double negatives, all that stuff. And I have talked about how precious the grammar is and being trampled on because people don't have to write anymore. They don't have to spell. They can get it all done by the computer. And if we lose really the linkage of grammar and think that it's all going to just take care of itself electronically, that could be a bad path.
Well, my kids make fun of me because even when I text them, I use full punctuation, complete sentences, good grammar, which no one does anymore apparently when you text. But I can't get past it. I can't be that guy.
No, we don't want everybody to just go, screw it. Let's just go the easy path. We need some police out there, and Jim seems to be one of them. And I'll, like I say, have him on to talk more about that book pretty soon. All right, Rick, congratulations on the book. It has been revised, so it's as up to date as it can be. And here are some of the pictures. Why don't we walk through some of these pictures before you go?
Okay.
There's obviously the
they use it as a reference guide in the Cubs broadcast booth, which makes me
there's the
proud.
book, right there.
That's me in there with my friend Bobby Scafish.
Let me try to let me identify. That's Rick Sutcliffe. That's Ron Santo. That's Ernie Banks. Right? That's
yep.
yeah. That's And who's that guy that hit all the home runs? That guy, Hispanic guy.
Sammy Sosa?
Sosa, because he lightened his skin, and he's the guy with the Cubs jersey on there. Boy, he really got light.
Yes, he did.
All right, there it is. There's the owner.
Yep.
And nice guy. I mean, I had lunch with him once. He seemed like a nice enough guy.
Yeah, actually, he invited me to come sit next to him during the game. I spent the whole game, 9 innings with him, just chatting about the Cubs' history. He was a nice guy.
Cool. Is that Fergie Jenkins next to him?
Yeah, that's Fergie.
Fergie Jenkins. Who's this player?
Yeah, this is a little-known shortstop named George Will.
Okay. And the guy on the right pitches for the Cubs right now, I believe.
Yeah, he could. He could.
Who is that?
That's the guy on the left is Steve Trout, who was a Cubs pitcher in the 80s. And that his grandson is with him there. And when he bought the book, and he told me there was something inaccurate in there and about himself. He read it and he said, "That's not true. I didn't do that." I said, "I listened to a podcast that you were on and you told the story." He goes, "Oh, okay, then it's probably true."
Wow. That's great. When you tell the actual person that they're full of shit of their own story.
Yes, exactly.
That's great. What a moment. Hey, Steve, I heard you say it. What do you want me to do?
Exactly.
Oh my God. All right. Every Cub ever, Rick Kaempfer. And we will talk again down the road, I'm sure.
Sounds good, Gary. Thanks.
Thanks, Rick. All right. Leslie, you remember Rick? You work with Rick.
I do. Actually, I'm in one of his books. He did a radio producer's handbook, which I guess was used as a textbook for a lot of media classes. And I am mentioned in there somewhere. I think because Rick and I spent 9/11 in the same studio together. And it was one of those, I mean, typical radio moments where the Twin Towers are now being struck by airplanes, and our producer told our general, what is it? What's the guy in charge?
Chief Asshole.
Chief Asshole tells us, don't break format. Go back to playing the Monkees or whatever oldies that we were playing at the time. There's a Barry Manilow song that's supposed to be coming up. Don't break format. And we're like, what? No, I think we better cover the fact that the Twin Towers are coming down.
Okay. It's a radio handbook. And they have a diagram in there. I've seen the book, and it says if the on-air person who is probably on drugs passes out, make sure he doesn't swallow his tongue. And they have a diagram of how you pull his tongue out so he doesn't swallow his tongue. Right?
It's in there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's chapter 3. But radio producers handbook. Program director is what I was trying to think of. Hey, so in light of our guest, what say we set up the giveaway?
Okay.
And do a hashtag everycubever.
That sounds good. There's what you put on the screen in the comments section. And then at the end of the show, the computer randomly picks a winner of the condom and the GarrForce scarf. And let's tease what we're going to give away next week. We only have a couple scarves left, but we'll break it up next week with the condom. And we're going to re-gift. And it's been cleared by Tracy from Racine, Wisconsin, because she sent you, hold it up.
Hooter heaters.
Hooter heaters. And you thought, well, I already have some. I got some from Christmas left over. So we're going to give away this pair. And
we had a story this week about a woman who got her booster shot or her vaccine, and she got high beams, permanent high beams because of it.
Yeah, she claims after weeks now, her high beams are still up. So that inspired us to go to this and give this away next week. The Hooter heaters. Now,
and
Tracy,
a condom.
And a condom. Tracy also sent me this, the Peter heater, and I'm not giving that up because it's the dead of winter, and damn it, I got enough shrinkage as it is when I walk out there.
Next week, we'll also give away one of the GarrForce magnets. We'll give this one away next week.
Look at this thing.
We'll do that separately because we keep telling people not to play if they've played, but we'll make this one an all play next week.
Okay.
So there's
two
the
giveaways
opportunity
next week.
Yes, we'll do 2. In fact, to encourage people to watch the opening, I'll put the hashtag for the magnet in the opening to the show next week. And then folks can just find what that hashtag is in the opening and then include it in the comments, and we'll do a drawing at some point during the show.
Great.
Very
great.
nice.
Hey, you know what I didn't do with Rick? I didn't ask him what he was drinking. Is he still there?
Rick is still there. I'll bring him back on.
Yeah, Rick, my God, it's a cocktail show. What are you drinking?
Gary, I have a Manhattan just like you.
Nice.
Aww.
All right, dueling Manhattan.
What kind of cherry? Do you have a Luxardo?
I have the expensive ones, the brandy soaked ones.
Is that the Luxardo? Is that what Luxardos are? Brandy soaked?
I don't know.
I think those are. Yeah, that's what they look like.
I was going to say,
it looks a sandwich out of those cherries.
It looks like the one in our cocktail, which I'm trying to find in the pictures again.
Yeah,
I think
that's the Luxardo. And
there it is.
That's the one. Hey, when I talked to Ron from Wisconsin, he bought a can of Luxardo cherries. I think it was a $95 can. And we're going to get into the details of that. It might be more economically feasible. We get the jars, and I think they're around $18. But we might want to go to Costco and just get the 5-gallon drum of Luxardo cherries.
Yeah.
Because they're so damn good. Really, and the juice. They should make a drink out of the juice.
That's good stuff.
Oh my God.
Well, Jenna Duddleston, who does the podcast, Bar Talk with Jenna. She definitely is all over the Luxardo.
She put together, Rick, last week on the show. Jenna put together this as looks like the official GarrForce cocktail, and I'm going to be trying that in the near future. Boy, it just looks good, doesn't it?
Yes. I don't put lemon in mine. Do you put lemon in yours?
No, but I'm not opposed to anything at this point.
That's the whiskey snout. She kind of changed it up a little bit.
Okay.
Right. So, Rick, you're on board with the Manhattan. Good. Boy, it's all good now. See, and this is the part of the show we're about 40 some minutes in where the Manhattan is really kicking in.
I couldn't think of program director.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. Because there aren't any. They don't direct anything.
True.
Yeah.
These days, anybody can be on the air.
Yeah.
As long as you'll work for $12 an hour.
Can I tell a quick story about that September 11th day? Because when that second plane hit, I was on the phone with Butch Patrick, who played Eddie Munster.
Butch, what do you know about 9/11? All right, Eddie Munster, line 1. What do you know about what do you know about the attack? Eddie Munster, line 1. Go to line 1. Eddie Munster.
I think he was afraid that we were going to put him on.
Why was he scheduled to be on?
He was
he was going to. It was like a mystery guest. He was going to be a mystery guest. And I was on the phone with him, and he's like, "Are you watching this?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I don't think we should have you on." He goes, "Thank you very much." He did not want to come on after that.
Oh, my God. That's one of those moments where it becomes a Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah.
The planes are crashing into the building. You're talking to Eddie Munster.
We had been begging management for months to get a TV in the studio so we could just kind of scan around. They're like, you're going to watch TV and not do the show. It's like, no, we probably should know what's going on.
Yeah.
And we had to set up a computer so we could watch the second plane hit the World Trade Center. It was insane. But
where that started about don't let the people on the air have a TV in the studio. I think this blame goes back to a former show I was on. Let me explain something here. Years ago, my partner and I were working 5 days a week, and they decided for some reason that we should be working 6 days a week. And we were not happy about that. So my partner decided, okay, I'll come in on a Saturday, but I'm going to watch college football during the show. He brought a TV in, and while we're on, he's watching college football. And it was like, okay, we're here, but I got to watch college football. And in the background,
that was a talk show.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think where that pace car got set, as far as don't put a TV in the studio, was back then. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Garry. Appreciate it.
Well.
Yeah, really. We think planes are hitting the World Trade Center. We've heard word.
Yeah, we've heard word. We're not sure. Let's go to Eddie Munster and see what's going on with him. Oh,
it's just such a weird story. I know I'm the only one in the world that can say that I was talking to Eddie Munster when that happened.
I know those moments. I'll be lying in bed and I'll start flashing back to a very weird moment. I'll go, "Oh my God, that really happened."
Yeah, exactly.
It's not fantasy. It's not a dream. It really happened.
So before Rick leaves, let's also point out that during those shows back when, we would sometimes do live performances.
Yeah.
In big giant venues.
Okay.
Including one at a giant arena in the southern suburbs of Chicago.
Yes.
I think, is that where Rick Kaempfer made his dancing
Yes.
debut?
Okay. Let me set this up.
About that.
Okay.
Oh my God.
One of the ongoing characters on the radio show that I was on was a guy by the name of Cliff, and he ran a broadcasting and film ranch for wayward boys. And we just threaded that all the time. We made it where it was its own orbit. Everybody believed it. And we had every element working. We'd add more to it. So you thought, well, this is really true. There's a Cliff. He has a ranch. So comes time to do this live show, and we decided Cliff was going to be part of it. So I needed people thought I was
He needed
Cliff.
wayward boys.
I needed wayward boys, and Rick being a producer, I had him and some other guys, and we rehearsed our bit for weeks. Because I wasn't going to go out in front of 10, 15,000 people, as they say, with my putt in my hand.
It was choreographed. It was choreographed by, tell everybody who choreographed it. Do you remember,
we
Garry?
had a guy that ran the Goodman Theater, this respected theater in Chicago. He came in, Bob Falls is his name, and he was our choreographer. I mean, I went full cabin on this. He's won
Tony Awards since then.
Yeah, this was top drawer, full bull. And we decided
he won't admit it. To this day, he's probably.
I don't think it's on his resume. You're right. I don't really think he's warmed to it as much as you would like. So, okay, we go out there, and this is a choreographed dancing number about 6-7 guys and Cliff throwing beach balls.
Rick, what was your outfit?
Moment.
Right, Rick was.
It was a Speedo.
Rick was in a Speedo, right? And we're choreographing this beach ball thing and da. And here's my favorite moment. So a lot of people thought I was Cliff. So I said to Rick, "Okay, when we're done, go backstage. You take the outfit. I'll come out as me and introduce Cliff." And so Rick gets in the outfit as Cliff. He's got a mustache and this and that. And I go, "And ladies and gentlemen, please say thank you and hello once again to Cliff." And Rick walks out, and people are seeing me and Cliff standing next to you, and it was like, woo!
Mind blown.
Yeah.
Mind
what
blown.
The hell?
Why is Cliff wearing a Speedo?
Right. Well, the title of the whole show was Puppets from Hell. If you remember the title.
Right.
It was us with and everybody had a puppet. So we made that the stage presence of the whole show, puppets. And man, it was psychedelic. It was crazy.
I actually have that on video if you ever want to see it.
Oh, great.
Oh, my God. And we could actually show it. Would you give us permission to show it on this show? Because we've had trouble with video in the past.
Sure, absolutely. We did a poem about cocaine. You remember that?
Yes. To tell people not to do cocaine.
Right, exactly.
Holy, here's one of those. I've suppressed so many of these things that I don't. And then all of a sudden, I'm like a Vietnam vet where, oh my God, PTSD. Send that to me, Rick, and we'll show that.
I will.
Gary's going to be fetal by the end.
Oh, Jesus. It's really, if I did write the book, Rick, holy crap.
I'm telling you, Garry.
You were there for some of it. And I don't think people believe a lot of the stuff unless there was a witness. Yeah. There were witnesses.
That's right.
But it was fun. To your point, that was the fun of what we did. It was just, let's have a party every day. And I don't know why they got away from that, because that was the whole essence of why people listen to the radio, I think.
The reason why people still remember the show is because we had so much fun.
Oh, God, I forgot a lot of that stuff. But all right. Wow. Woo! All right. Cheers, Rick. Great
Take
memories.
it easy. Thanks. I really appreciate it.
All right. Ryan, let's talk about your can of Luxardo cherries.
Yes, I just pulled that up. You can get a almost 7-pound can, or you can get a 13-pound can. One's $97, the other one's $180.
Okay. $97 for which can?
Almost the 7-pound can.
7 pounds of cherries and $180 for
a 13-pound can.
Oh my God. And you got the smaller can.
I got the smaller can. Yeah, you can get them on Amazon.
And I'm wondering, I think it's more cost effective. It's a lot of money to lay out for cherries, but we're buying the jars and those aren't cheap. So it might be better to go can.
You just have to make sure you break them up or, put them in little jars or something. But
oh yeah.
Can you freeze them?
I don't know.
I don't think that would be good. Yeah, you got to have the space to store some of this stuff. When you go to Costco, it's great. The savings are great, but now suddenly your trunk is storage. You have to put the paper towels in the trunk with the toilet paper because you got pallets of all this paper.
Yes.
Speaking of toilet paper.
Well, we'll see a little bit of that on my report, the continuing saga of the toilet paper. So,
all right.
I also wanted to mention Henry and I bought some of the K9 Hero playing cards, so we busted those out this weekend. So those are very cool. Nice. So if your calendar isn't your speed, there's playing cards and lots of other things. So we enjoyed looking at all the dogs and reading about them.
Yeah, I think people assume that a lot of this stuff is just taken care of, and it's not. Right. And my God, these dogs sniffing out explosives at the airport. You think that's a valuable thing to have? I do.
Yep.
And then say they retire, because my friend Roberto has a dog that was retired where he was only about 6 years old. Well, these dogs could live to be 15.
Yep.
And to euthanize them because nobody wants them because they might be a little aggressive. I will never forget the first time I met Roberto's dog, Bart. He brought the dog over to my mother's house. My mother lived close to Roberto. Bart gets out of the car, immediately runs to my mother's car, starts sniffing the wheel wells. We bring him in the house. He runs up into the bedrooms and starts sniffing under the beds. And I can tell you that my mother had no drugs or explosives in the house or her car.
Just plastic bags in the trunk, right?
A lot of plastic bags, hundreds of plastic bags, not only in the trunk. And then I opened up her pantry, 100 more there. And any of those people that were living during World War II where they had to ration everything, I think they got scarred to the point where a lot of that demographic, they saved things because they knew back then they did without, and now they're making up for it. She had plastic bags everywhere. Everywhere.
Yeah. And Bart's on those playing cards. We found Bart on those playing cards. So
what's that?
Oh.
Bart's on that deck of playing cards.
Oh, cool.
He's one of the dogs.
Oh.
So
okay.
People in that era used to dust off paper plates and reuse them. You never know.
We've laughed, but we're talking about the war and all the people in the country unifying. Boy, that would be great to have again, where they're all taking that paper or plastic or whatever or rubber out of their life for whatever amount of time because we were fighting the war and we're all into it. We're supporting our troops and da-da-da. And now, oh my God, it's crazy time.
It was the Cool Whip containers at my grandma's house. I remember opening
Mother
the
had
cupboards
those.
and you had a ton of them, and those were good for cookies and leftovers. So that's what I remember.
Mother had those jelly jars where jelly, after you used the jelly, they were glass. She saved those, and she had about 300 rubber bands on her faucet that she would kept putting on her faucet.
TV dinner containers.
Tracy, my dad saved TV dinner containers. God bless them. I mean, it's the greatest generation, and we have become weak, but they sacrificed, and that's the way it was. And I long for those days where we can come back as a country and just go, hey, we're all in this together. Let's find that spot that gets us all in the same mindset.
So I have a report.
I'm getting preachy because look at there's only a little to go here. You got a report.
I have a little report that includes toilet paper. So
okay, before you do that, let's pay homage to the fine sponsors of the program. What do you say? Bettenhausen Automotive? Yeah.
Bettenhausen.
Hey, Bettenhausen. Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. Bettenhausen, 159th Street, Bettenhausen,
Illinois. Yes. And I'm doing the rap version because I'm hoping that I can do a commercial with Snoop Dogg. That's my goal, and I'm trying to get my chops down. Okay. David Hochberg. This guy here, love this man. If you need a mortgage or refi, any of that stuff, this is the guy, Team Hochberg. He gave us the money for the scarves. He didn't have to do that, but he did because he goes the extra mile. And one of the listeners, as we got started at the top of the hour, said that David Hochberg is doing something to raise money for bulletproof vests for police in Chicago. I'm going to try to get David on next week to talk about that because this event is coming up. That's what he does. It's not just, I've got this business and support my business. Yeah, okay, great. But when he gets that support, he takes that support and then puts it out in the community. That's what he does. How many people do that? And that's what he'll do with your mortgage or refi. He'll take care of you. That's the man right there. There are the numbers on the screen. And I'll see if I can get him on to talk about that fundraiser. Man, I'm dialed up. I'm very dialed up right now. There's so much.
Because the memories are starting to flood.
I know.
Back.
It's just
good.
Good.
Is it bad? It's going to be.
Let me share. This might be way off the track. You know, I watch Andy Griffith when I'm not watching Double Beaver, Leave It to Beaver back-to-back episodes. And when things are crazy, I have to go back into comfort. And Andy Griffith provides that. And one of my favorite episodes is 3 Wishes for Opie. And what this episode is, Barney gets this book and this box. And what it is tarot cards. And he finds that he has 3 wishes that could be granted. And the way it's constructed is just brilliant. And he starts getting these wishes and they start coming true. And I had this moment. I had a 3 Wishes for Opie moment today. My wife and daughter went to the store before the weather turned crappy to get the bread and milk because it's required by law. And today I said to my daughter as a joke, hey, did you get the breakfast Danish, the rolls and the pastries? Because I want some pastries. And it was a joke, basically, because I didn't see any. And then about an hour later, the doorbell rings and our neighbors came over with a bag of pastries. Because that's what our neighbors do. They're great. And I'm thinking, okay. Wow. And I said to her, that's 3 wishes for Opie. That's 3 wishes for Opie. That was a weird kind of 3 wishes for Opie moment. And I love that kind of stuff. As you know, if you've listened to the program, I like when that stuff happens. I like things in the atmosphere coming together in a weird way. And that's what I think you like about me. I don't know. All right. Hey, Ryan, Alan, let's light up some Ryan stuff.
Wisconsin, yeah, hey.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan. I hope your February is going very well. Well, earlier in the week, Gary and Leslie had talked about the picture I'd sent of the big Charmin rolls of toilet paper that I saw at Target, and I thought they were pretty intriguing. Well, I ended up doing what I call the Charmin Challenge. I went ahead and went to Target, bought the introductory kit, loaded it on the flatbed semi, and took it home. With a little bit of assembly, we now have the giant roll of toilet paper. The question is, will it last a month? So that is the test we're testing right now. Here's the picture of my son near it. He thought they were like big wheels or toys. So we had a little bit of fun assembling it and setting it up in the bathroom. So we'll see how it goes and if it is cheaper or works better than conventional rolls of toilet paper. Well, you were in college and you were always hungry for food, staying up late studying. Well, UW-Madison has deployed a Starship robot that delivers food across campus and around the campus. It is only $1.99, and you don't even have to tip them. It's just a flat fee. It is equipped with snow tires, so it makes sure it maneuvers on the sidewalk when there's snow. And if it gets tipped over, most of the time students write it back up and it goes on its way. So they said it's been very busy, and they're deploying more robots in the area. So I think in the end, we won't even have to leave our house. We'll hit a button, and the next thing we know, a robot will be passing our food through the window. So it'll be a pretty good experiment to see how that works on a college campus. But UW-Madison is a really big campus, so I can see why they need a few robots. Have a good rest of the weekend, and we'll talk next week.
Ryan, I think it's a great investment since you got the 8-pound can of cherries that you got the giant roll of toilet paper. Okay, when you have to get a assembly with your toilet paper, and by assembly you mean you had to get the stand because
it comes in that kit.
It's a kit. The toilet paper is a kit.
Yes, and it comes with the directions and a little bag with screws and I think an Allen wrench and.
So when you're not putting together the Home Alone house and Lego bricks or the Titanic, you're assembling a toilet roll holder.
And sitting there eating Luxardo cherries.
The toilet paper roll needs its own room, so you actually have to get up. How do you do it, man?
We placed it downstairs because Jamie said, well, this is really supposed to be a showpiece, isn't it? And I said, well, I guess.
A showpiece? Okay, when did you get the toilet paper?
Sunday. Last Sunday.
Okay, almost a week.
Yes.
And do you think you're going to make it a month?
I don't know. I think we might, but like we thought, once you kind of get that going, it comes off much faster than you probably want it to. So,
and Hank can use it as a bed.
He could. He was playing with it, rolling it around, and I said, "Well, don't misshape the rolls."
Oh yeah,
it's like the Flintstone tires.
Yes, exactly. Wow. So you got 3 rolls. It's 3 rolls in a pack with the assembly holder. How much was that?
$33.
Okay.
Actually,
all right.
So we'll see what we get out.
Doing the math.
Yeah. All right. We'll keep you posted, ladies and gentlemen. As they say on the local news, when they give you a story, we'll follow the story and let you know, and you're going, no, you won't, and I don't give a shit. But we do. In this case, I'm really interested to see if this lasts a month, because I don't know if they're eating sloppy joes or chocolate cake or a lot of coffee or whatever they're eating.
Those cherries, man.
Yep,
the
cherries.
Yeah, any kind of fruit. Woo! That roll is just down to the woo. Okay. All right. Leslie's got stuff. Hey, we have done an hour now, and let me just bring this up. My brother called me, my brother Tim, who's into the UFO thing, and he said, I think, is he here? There he is. Just spent most of the day at the DMV, and system computer crashed too for the day. Never buy software at the dollar store. Hey, I'm glad he brought that up. I went to the Dollar Tree the other day, and here's where we're at, folks. I bought 2 items, $2.50, $1.25 an item now. Yeah, that kind of ruins the whole mojo, doesn't it?
It's going to be. You're going to have to get a new level of employee there who can work with quarters.
Yes,
it used to be so much easier.
$2.50. Oh, now I got to go into my vagina monologue coin purse. I got a vagina monologue. And okay. Great marketing item for. Remember the vagina monologues?
Yeah.
As a matter
where
of fact.
these celebrities would get on stage and talk about their vagina. I thought, okay, this is the Twilight Zone. And then in the lobby sold vagina monologue coin purses. And the coin purse, if you don't know, you squeeze it and it opens up.
Like Grandma used to have.
Yes. Grandma, let me squeeze your coin purse.
When I got to go, I knew one of the actresses who was performing because of the show that Rick and I used to be on with John Landecker. His daughter, Amy Landecker, is an actress. The other actress on stage was Kim Fields, who was Tootie.
Yes.
And it was kind of like that thing where they had to prep us beforehand. They go, whatever you do, man, don't call her Tootie.
Don't call her Tootie.
She hates when you don't call her Tootie.
Don't call her Tootie.
Call her Kim.
You can refer to her in other regions as Tootie, but you can't call her Tootie. Yeah.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, I got the coin purse, and I had to take 2 quarters out for the 2 things I bought at the Dollar Tree. Now, going back to what Tim told me this week, he said the show should go longer than an hour. You should take more callers. I need more time with you guys on Friday. And I'm thinking, well, if people want to call in, they can. They go through Keith. They text Keith and say, I want to talk, and that's how that works. And if Rick is still there, I know this is kind of a sloppy programming thing, but one of the listeners, Matt, who gives you a lot of T-shirts, he texted me before the show and said there were 2 Cubs that sang the national anthem in uniform. Do you know who they are? I didn't know who they were. And then I asked the expert, and he said, well, I know of one. And who was that?
Dwight Smith in 1989, part of that 89 Cubs team with Don Zimmer. He sang it one night. And Carmen Fanzone was infield for the Cubs in the 70s. He played it on the trumpet. But I don't know who the second one who sang it is.
It's Matt here. I don't know. I haven't seen him. Have you seen him scroll by,
Yeah,
Leslie?
he was there earlier. Yep.
Okay, Matt, if you're
I think he's with
there,
us.
is that the answer? Because you're the trivia guy. You would know. All right?
So he can text us.
All right. This is the part of the show where we give away the condom and the scarf, and the hashtag is...
Well,
we got no. We have your stuff.
GarrForce. Well, we teased these two stories, and the one
Let's
pretty
do 'em.
much it's the headline kind of says it all, and that's after decades of service, the International Space Station will soon be retired in spectacular fashion, according to a recent press release from NASA. At the end of 2030, they're going to steer the space station out of orbit and crash it into the Pacific Ocean in an area known as Point Nemo. So far, this International Space Station has orbited the Earth some 100,000 times. And so, ta-ta, pretty soon.
And speaking of my brother, he had a mock-up of the space station. He put it in the storage locker, and it was stolen, if you remember that story.
Well, and the story was they charged by weight, right?
By weight. He said, how much do you charge? They go by weight. And he said, and this probably started things off on a bad foot, it's the space station, it's weightless, so it should be free. I think right there, the guy who ran the place went, oh, you're a smart ass. Well, my whole family's smart ass. There's no real connection to reality. It's all smart ass.
There's a gene.
Yes, it's through the whole DNA. So if they could direct it towards Tim's house, he'd take it and put it in his backyard and start all over again.
Well, so yeah, is it going to end up as ocean junk? We don't know quite what they plan on doing in terms. Maybe some magnet fishers can get out there and pull it up. The other story,
there it is. And you had a magnet fishing story this week, and Ryan and his son magnet fish. Who talks about magnet fishing more than this show? Kite surfing, coin diving, yes.
That's where you find it, is right here. Yeah, and that was some kid who on his first go round pulled two 50 caliber rifles out of the water. So
okay, it's a growing sport.
And the other one I just have to talk about is the head of the Taliban announced this week that from now on their troops will no longer be allowed to carry their weapons, wear their uniforms, or drive their military vehicles at amusement parks in Afghanistan. It's part of an ongoing effort to win the hearts and minds of the Afghan public and improve the group's standing with the international community. This latest move comes as a direct result of something that we here on the show had a lot of fun with, and that was the photo of the young men who were piling onto bumper cars with their rifles in tow. And then the next day, they burned down that amusement park because there was a statue there and they don't like statues.
And it'll be fun to see the Taliban on a Ferris wheel. Oh, this is so much fun. I love this.
But leave your rifle at home.
Yeah, going around in those little boats in the water. Oh, this is so much fun. What the hell? We've lost, really, reality altogether. Everything is bizarro world.
Exactly.
Hey, I want to show... Yeah, Alan, bring up that picture of Double F, because this is the poster girl, literally. Remember this poster 45 years ago? We're talking about the high beams. There you have it. She started the high beam revolution. Next week, the Hooter heaters are going to be given away. You going to do that with the condom?
Oh, there you go. And the condom. And the wine
that's
condom.
next week. All right. And Double F, Mara Fawcett, there she is.
This is one of those gifts that should keep on giving. We're going to give it away next week, and I think you, the winner next week, should somehow find a way to enjoy them and then share them with somebody else.
Okay. It's like sourdough bread. There's an ingredient from the original sourdough. You keep passing it on. Is that what it is? All right. So. Hashtag every cub ever. If you've entered, here we go. Alan, are you ready to hit the button?
Yeah, here we go. Here we go.
Kim Whelan is the winner. Kim, congratulations.
Message us.
Be sure to message Gary's account, and we'll
get
you all the goodies that the gang has talked
all
about
the goodies from the prize closet. All right. Well, that's it. Hope you enjoyed this. We're doing it every Friday, but we're on Monday through Friday. Monday, we're back, and hope you can listen to that show. Have a great weekend. Cheers, everybody. All right, take the cannoli. Here it comes. It's beautiful. What about the schnauzer, Leslie?
You know what? Take it to a Cubs game and just, show it off to the fans. Why not?
Wow. In February, you're already promoting that. Fetch on all fours.
Wait, isn't it close to pitchers and catchers report?
Yeah, pitchers and catchers. Pretty soon. All right, take it to spring training and show it off. How about that?
There you go.
3 in the green, gear down, flaps are down. Thanks for listening and watching. Have a great weekend. And the GarrForce has landed.
If you like that, I got other stuff I think you're going to like. This is the GarrForce